Hello everyone and welcome for this new video. In this episode I'm going to share with you a trick that looks very simple, but it actually changed the way I draw and even changed the way I see the world forever. So maybe it can help you. Alright, before I talk about this trick, let me ask you something. Are you still not following me on Instagram? Because if not, you really need to go there and follow me, because I'm gonna make this Instagram a sort of an interaction platform to share with you on a daily basis. It's getting hard for me to keep track on YouTube, so I'm gonna keep YouTube for, you know, the weekly videos, educational, time-lapse, the tutorials as always, and make Instagram a platform where I can really share, ask you guys questions, show you my work in progress, and do that in a more spontaneous and natural way. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. I might even experiment with live streaming, so it would be a pleasure to see some of you guys there. So I hope you can follow me on Instagram if it's not already the case. Alright, so what about this trick? There's a little bit of backstory behind it, and the story of my beginnings. As everyone else, I sucked. When I started trying portraits, it was horrible. Like the eyes were too narrow, too wide, the nose was too long, too short, the mouth didn't have the right angle. I mean, you know, like everyone else, I guess. And my mistake back then, but I didn't know it at the time, is that I was trying to draw the features of the face separately, as if they exist, as if they have an outline. But it's only after I started reading an essential book by Harold Speed called The Practice and Science of Drawing that I realized that I was actually trying to draw with my brain and not with my eyes. Let me explain. So Speed shows that the sense of sight is not based on purely visual perception. It's strongly connected to the sense of touch, which is why infants, whenever you show them something, they don't just want to see, they also want to touch. So basically, Speed shows that there is nothing purely visual in how we see things, and from that we can say that we basically see with our brain. I mean, Speed doesn't say it like this, but this is how I interpreted it. Seeing is not something simple. It's not purely an image projected on your retina. It's a combination of very complex information. And the brain, when it sees something, it tries to outline things. It tries to put a boundary around things to spot the various objects. All right, so this is a brush, and this is a book, and this is a bucket. And yeah, the brain sees things and try to put in a boundary to find what are the objects in the world. And without this ability, seeing would be just like a gigantic soup of like random shapes and colors. So it's a very good thing that our brain is capable of doing that. But the thing is, even though this ability of the brain to outline and put boundaries around things is very useful, it's very counterproductive for realistic drawings. So if you ask a child to draw a face, he's probably going to draw the concept of a face with, you know, the concept of an eye, the idea of a nose, and sort of a figuration of what can be interpreted as a mouth. So what you want to do if you want to draw realistically is you want to reproduce the shapes of the lights and shadows as they appear to the eyes. So this is a well-known trick in the world of realistic drawing, but this is after this reading that it really clicked for me. So the brain wants to outline everything, wants to put boundaries on things that have no boundaries, visually speaking. But instead of looking for features of the face, let's look for other shapes, and this is what I call animal shapes. I like using animal shapes, but it can be like any sort of random shapes that's delineated by shadows and lights. You know, sort of like when you look at clouds and you try to spot a shape, like the shape of a dragon, the shape of, I don't know, a rabbit, the shape of a dog. Or, like, you know, in the Toblerone logo, you have the shape of a bear. I don't know if you can see it or not. This is kind of the same idea. So let me give you an example. For this eye, for instance, I thought about what kind of other shape could I see there. So, okay, it's an eye, but can I find something else? Can I find a shape that sort of forces my brain to see differently? And this is where I spot this little penguin right here. I don't know if you can see it. I can see it, and this is how I see it, at least. Maybe you can see a sea turtle, I don't know. You choose, whatever. So this is a mental trick that sort of made my brain click and sort of forget about the idea of drawing an eye, but drawing the shapes that represent the lights and the shadows that create the visual impression of this eye. And I was not focused anymore on drawing the eye, but on drawing this penguin thing. But you can find other shapes. I mean, there's always like random shapes that you can find. You don't have, it doesn't have to be animals. It can be anything. It can be random shapes that can describe the things that you're trying to represent, and that sort of force your brain to not see in terms of concepts, but see in terms of shadow shapes. It doesn't necessarily have to be shadows also. It can be any shape, as long as it recreates the visual impression and not the thing. Of course, this trick works better if the shadows are very strong and if the edges are kind of hard. But it doesn't always have to be like this. You can have like, also it doesn't have to be shadows. You can find shapes all over the place. The thing is, you don't have to use that all the time. It's just a way of seeing, especially for portraits. It's a way of not dealing with drawing portraits as a list of features to draw and represent one by one. It's not like you don't have to draw an eye and a nose and a mouth. You have to draw the shapes with the right proportions. So why did this silly thing of looking for animal shapes in my drawings change my life? I don't know. Not really for its utility, because I don't use it anymore. But I don't know, at this point it sort of clicked, and this really helped my drawing. I don't know, these things sometimes they're really weird. It's like you reach another level, and after this it was like, oh, okay, I see now. I see what I did wrong before. I was not looking for the right thing, and this is why my drawing before that was inferior, and realistically speaking. I don't know, it's just something. Sometimes, you know, it just clicks like this and it happens. So that was the story, and I hope it can help. Maybe you have something else. Maybe you reached another level doing something else. I don't know, let me know in the comments below. Or let me know on Instagram, because I'm way easier to reach on Instagram. Let me remind you, the best way, if you really have something important to say, is to go on my website and hit contact, and you get me directly via email. And if not, you can find me on Instagram. I'll respond very quickly there. And yeah, I'll hope to see you there. Thank you again to all my patrons on Patreon. Your support really means a lot to me. And the support of this community is awesome, and you can find the links in the description as always. And yeah, thank you for watching. Don't hesitate to like and subscribe. I'll see you for the next video, and you can find me on Instagram in the meantime. Until then, have fun drawing. Bye.